If you've lost weight but you still don't look lean, this is where it gets confusing because the scale has dropped, your clothes are fitting better, but when you look in the mirror, you're still feeling like you're looking soft. And at this point, guys start thinking, what the hell am I doing wrong? Especially if you're training and eating pretty decently. So in this video, I will break down why this happens and what actually needs to change for you to get and stay lean. We're taught that the scale dropping means that we're getting leaner, but it's easy to get caught out on that because you could lose, say, 1 pound or half a kilo overnight, but only a very small portion of that loss is actually fat, depending on the size of the deficit that you're in. So what's all this extra weight? Well, it's because you're only losing things like water, glycogen, food in your gut, poop in your colon, pee in your bladder, and also not ignoring the potential muscle loss over a longer time frame. After dropping 5, 10, 20 pounds, you can still look in the mirror and kind of feel like you look the same, just a little bit smaller. So the goal is not just to lose weight, it's to lose fat while holding or building muscle. And if you don't acknowledge that difference, you can put a lot of effort and still feel disappointed with how you look when you haven't got to the goal. But even when you understand this, you may still run into this next weight loss problem. So think of it like this. If you take a toilet roll and you start just removing, sheets of paper, then it's gonna barely look any different. But as you get closer to the center, then each sheet you remove starts to make a bigger impact. Luckily, I'm not doing this in lockdown, otherwise I would be crucified. This is why at a high level of body fat, dropping a bunch of weight doesn't have a drastic effect. But once you get below 20%, every pound or kilo starts to reveal more definition. So it's easy to get frustrated. And if you assume that dropping 10 to 15 pounds or kilos will make a huge difference, it's going to bother you. But in reality, you might still have another 10 or more pounds or kilos to go before your chest and your hips and your lower belly start to lean out. And this is why people quit too early, not because their plan isn't working, but because their expectations don't match reality. If you're already training and eating well enough, but you're still stuck around that 25 to 20% body fat, then you are the type of person I work with using my data-driven body composition approach. Link below for more details. But getting down to that 15% does not guarantee you will look the way that you expect. When guys think they're getting closer to looking lean, many actually start making it harder to achieve. And I'll explain why. If you compare two guys at the same body fat percentage, like Joe here, who has more muscle, or Donald here, who has less muscle, then they're not gonna look the same. Joe looks tighter and more defined with more vapor. Donald looks softer and flatter. And here's where a lot of guys go wrong, because when you diet without proper training, you're not just losing fat, you are slowly losing muscle that gives your body its shape. Your shoulders get narrower, your chest gets flatter, and your arms lose its fullness. So even when your weight is dropping, your overall look does not improve the way you expected. In some cases, it might even look worse to you, and others might make comments that you don't want to hear, especially if you still have a belly with a lean face, arms, and legs, and you lose that muscular structure while you're dieting. Then you're just revealing a smaller version of the same physique. It's why some guys get down to that 15% and they still feel skinny fat, because either they lost muscle or they had no muscle to begin with and they didn't increase it on the journey. However, even if you are super busy with work, business, family, traveling, whatever, you only need 2 to 3 workouts a week to build and maintain that muscle while you get leaner. Out of 168 hours in a week, that's 2 to 3 hours max. But even when you get this right, there is another thing that can stop you from getting lean. And this is where it really starts to mess with your head. If you leave ice on a plate, the outer layers are going to melt faster, while the thicker part in the middle takes longer, which is a bit like your belly fat. Your body will burn fat from certain areas first, face, arms, upper body, and your legs, but the areas you actually care about, like chest, your hips, and lower belly, tend to hold on for longer. So you can be progressing, just not in the places that you are paying attention to. And you can feel frustrated if you think you should already be lean by now, because those stubborn areas only start to lean out once everything else has. Now, that aside, this next thing can still hide your progress. This is another thing that can mess with your head. even when you are losing fat, your body can still hold on to extra water. This can come from poor sleep, high stress, intense workouts, or even certain foods that just don't sit well with your gut and your digestion. And when that happens, it can blur the definition and make you look a bit softer than you actually are. And this is why you can look leaner one week and softer the next, even when nothing actually changed. The key thing to understand is that this is only temporary, and once those factors improve and settle, your physique will tighten up again, especially as you continue to lose more fat. So if you actually want to look lean with clear definition, you need to focus on two things at the same time. That is a fat loss and muscle building protocol, or at least to maintain your muscle. But if you're always relying on how you feel and what you see today, you can easily be deceived. So instead, you need to track your biofeedback data that reflects your progress, your weekly average weight, your waist measurements, your progress photos, your gym performance, and many other things that you could track, but keep it simple initially. All of which only takes minutes to do every day. And many guys avoid this, which is why they stay stuck struggling. You should also remember that muscle takes a much longer time to build, so your strength in the gym tells you that you are either maintaining or building while you're in a fat loss phase. If your strength is going up and your fat's going down, even if the mirror hasn't caught up yet, it eventually will. This is what turns fat loss from something random into something that's predictable and for certain. And this is exactly what I build for my clients using a data-driven, sustainable structure around their training, their nutrition, and tracking with direct accountability. We know exactly what is working and what needs tweaking and optimizing. So if you're a busy guy, over 30, you're already putting in the effort, but you're still stuck in that 20% body fat range, and you want to fix this properly instead of guessing your way through another plan, I will map all this out for you specifically based on your numbers and your schedule and your current body composition. Link below for more details. Next, go watch this video where I break down the correct way to get to 15% body fat.